Thanks for having me today. I appreciate the opportunity to share our experience. My company, Mera Gao Power, we are a lighting utility, and I think this is important to emphasize. We operate just south of the border here in Uttar Pradesh and currently provide lighting and mobile phone services to about 18,000 households across 900 villages in 2 districts in Uttar Pradesh. I'm light on the graphs and the organograms, but I have some photos, and I can talk you through what we do and who we are. So this would be a typical customer in our village, and a typical village for Mera Gao Power. We typically serve what Indian government calls habitations, so that could be 10 to 100 houses in a community. Our customer is a mobile phone, and they have a kerosene lamp. And we came in to replace that kerosene. So our competitor is kerosene. This is what 400 million people come home to in India a night for their lighting services. And as you can see, and many of you probably know, kerosene is quite dirty and is expensive. So you have a subsidized rate and you also have a black market rate. So we've come in to offer a lighting service that undercuts the cost of kerosene and provides far more substantial quality of a service. So we're solar-based where we operate, though as far as our operations model is concerned, we're technology agnostic. We currently put a small solar system on a house in a village that will serve up to 30 homes, and for 25 rupees per week, we supply 2 lights and a mobile phone charger 7 hours per day. Customers pay for when the system works. If there's no sun, then they don't pay for the days that we don't deliver the power, and that is usually this time of year. So how do we work? We're effectively a microfinance company that supplies power. So our entire operations are based on collections and maintenance of our system. We have 90 staff that cover our 6 offices currently, and we train our staff from the communities we operate in. So we'll have staff come on at a trainee level for a technician, and currently we have staff that are now mid-level managers that will go open and establish a new office for us. Each week our staff go and collect 25 rupees prepay for service, and the customers receive the service. If the customers don't pay, we can turn the service off. What's our typical village? So the debate within the off-grid sector at the moment is to provide grid-equivalent power. But what we have found is that what our service provides is a consistency that even when the grid arrives, it doesn't provide, it doesn't allow for. So our customers want clean lighting for cooking, for socializing, for studying. Women are our #1 proponents for our systems. So every house always has a light in the kitchen. Studying. You see it every night. So even households that don't take our service, the kids will go and cluster around the houses that do have our service for the studying. As a service model, the number one factor for us is customer service. So we have a 24-hour line, and if something goes wrong, a technician is deployed the first thing the next morning in order to fix the system. Internally, we manage everything with an internal MIS so that we make sure there's no leakage of money, payments are accounted for, and we're now deploying a mobile phone app that our collectors will go and make their weekly collections for. Okay, well, let me jump to how we work. So our typical village would be off-grid, although about 10% of our villages are on-grid. And in fact, we find in those villages, when there's grid access, they still subscribe to our service, again, for the reliability of it. But a typical village would be quite densely settled with anywhere from 10 to 100 homes, and in that we can put up to 3 systems, so 90 homes within that 100 or more as the demand permits. Typically, a village will approach us. To date, we've done no marketing. So as we install villages, other villages see the system and approach us. So we currently have a 2-week pipeline for villages. We'll engage a village, explain our tariff structure, how it works, what you get for it, and provided 40% of the customers sign up on that day, we'll commit to installing our system. We've then found over a 2-month period, we get to a 75% subscription rate. And even then, we still get new customers each month from existing villages. We don't engage any of the politics of the village. We simply leave it up for the community to decide if they would like the system based on the subscription rate. And from previous pilots that we had done, we found that it's best not to be politically aligned with any power structures within the communities and simply be there as a service provider, much as you would choose a mobile phone, which service provider you would like for your mobile phone. The minimum market size in terms of where we can open up what we call a branch would be 6,000 to 8,000 customers. So we find that we need 6,000 to 8,000 customers in order to ensure the sustainability of our business model. And to serve those 6,000 to 8,000 customers, we're looking at just over 30 full-time staff. And of those full-time staff, all of them will be recruited from the communities in which we serve. So the lighting and the clean energy is one major benefit of what we do, but real success story is also the local employment generation. We currently have 90 staff, and of those 90 staff, only 4 have been recruited from outside of the areas we operate in. Government policies. I noticed today there was a lot on what's the government going to do, subsidies, no subsidies, minimum tariff requirements. We don't take subsidies. When we set off and designed this model, we realized that we couldn't depend on the government subsidy. In India, that was simply because of the time and effort that's required just to secure that subsidy. Currently, the subsidy is on hold in India, which would have affected us adversely as our business model. But in terms of government policy, there is currently a debate in India as to whether to regulate the tariffs for the off-grid sector. And we feel that any regulation on tariff or any regulation of the sector as a whole would actually only stymie the growth of that potential in India. Here, I know that you have a subsidy model for the capital expenditure, and as long as that is done in an efficient manner for the private developer, then it can be useful. But any time that the private developer has to put extra effort into securing that subsidy, we have found that, in fact, it only slows us down. For instance, in India, you have to have your pipeline pre-approved by the government authority. Well, that would mean a month lag or more between when you can have your project approved. The way our systems work is once we've committed to installing a system in a village, our team shows up at 8 a.m. that morning, and by 6 o'clock at night, the lights are turned on. And that takes a total of 3 people to do one village. So the efficiencies without having the government involved, we have found, has also been one of our prime drivers. Secondly, locally, we have been very well respected by the local government, and we've been seen as delivering much quicker than the grid and the promises of the politicians had been able to deliver to date. So we garner good support at the local level, and we pride ourselves on being a local company in Sitapur and now in Barabanki districts and operating there. That's all I have for now.